You're listening to Wellbeing Connection, the CMHA Manitoba and Winnipeg podcast. I'm your host, James Wellsman.
The Canadian Mental Health Association, Manitoba and Winnipeg wishes to acknowledge that we are gathered in Treaty 1 territory at the crossroads of the Anishinaabe, Métis, Cree, Dakota, Ojibwe nations, and on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe peoples and the homeland of the Métis Nation.
None of the content in this podcast is intended to replace the advice given to you by your medical team. If you are in crisis, please phone the Manitoba Suicide Prevention and Support Line at 1-877-435-7170 or text CONNECT to 686868 for the Kids Help Phone.
So as you heard in the intro, my name is James. I'm a youth mental health promotion coordinator with CMHA Manitoba and Winnipeg. And I'm so excited to be hosting this podcast for you because we have such exciting developments over the next few weeks. This podcast is going to take a Ride Don't Hide 2021 focus. We're going to be covering the 8 dimensions of wellness, and you'll hear more about that as the podcast goes on. I'm going to be interviewing my co-host for the next few weeks, Brandon Friesen, the Ride Don't Hide 2021 ambassador. You'll get to know him and we'll get vulnerable and you'll learn a lot more about the personal journey that we're going through as we go through Ride Don't Hide 2021. You will also hear a segment from Manager of Mental Health Promotion, Stephen Sutherland. He's going to share a lot of the details of why we ride for Ride Don't Hide. Being relatively new to CMHA Manitoba and Winnipeg, and to Winnipeg in general, having come from Ontario not too long ago, I'm passionate about youth mental health, and this is what brought me to co-hosting this podcast alongside Brandon Friesen, and in the future alongside Stephen Sutherland. I'm a person with lived experience, so in my life I have experienced mental health struggles, and I have also come to a place in my recovery where I'm able to give back. So my previous position at CMHA in Ontario was as a peer support worker. So I was able to run groups and really develop my style there of care and of speaking to people and sharing knowledge and spreading just good mental health practices all around. Hi everyone, welcome. I am so excited to introduce my co-host for the next few weeks and Ride Don't Hide 2021 ambassador for CMHA Manitoba and Winnipeg. Welcome, Brandon Friesen.
Hey James, yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here and chatting about Ride Don't Hide.
Yeah, well, it's been some incredible buzz around the office, hearing some buzz in the community. You can see the bikes outside of our office, introducing every year the Ride Don't Hide event.
Yeah, the bright ones above the CMHA office. Can't miss them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Explain to us, the listeners, folks at home, what we're going to be talking about over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be talking about the 8 dimensions of wellness over the next few weeks. So today it's going to be mental and emotional, so mental health and emotional health. So that's going to be really exciting. But over the next few weeks, we're going to be bringing in friends of Ride Don't Hide, friends from the community that are going to be supporting us by providing, some expert knowledge on things, some lived experience even. So we're going to be bringing in guest speakers over the next few weeks, and they're going to really help us expand a little bit. But overall, the main theme is still Ride Don't Hide and talking about the big ride that's coming up, and our big fundraising goal of this every year is Ride Don't Hide. So we're going to be exploring that, and along the way, everyone's going to get to hear some stories about my ride and my training, but really, I need support to make that happen. So the community members are going to kind of maybe give me a bit of info on some training and things like that. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting next little while. So this big ride it's going to be a 2-day thing, 330 kilometers, and I'm hoping some of the people we're going to bring on here are going to be able to help me a little bit.
Absolutely. So we're going to learn more about how to join your team, Brandon's team.
Yep.
We're going to learn just so much about physical wellness, financial wellness, spiritual wellness, all the 8 dimensions of wellness with our guests, and really just connect with what is the true reasons that we ride? What are the reasons that we are here sitting in front of each other with the Canadian Mental Health Association?
To bring mental health into the open. And I think we're going to do that.
I think we're going to do it too. So can you explain to the listeners, why is it that you ride?
Yeah, I think I ride. We were talking a little bit about this, and to me, I think like it just seemed like a no-brainer to do this, right? And obviously, working in mental health and stigma reduction and supporting my community are all values of mine. But this year particularly, I think. We're raising funds for youth mental health. And so I think back to when I was in high school and when I was younger, some of the supports that are available now would have been amazing to have when I was younger. So, things that would have increased my self-esteem, supported with anxiety and depression management. And now there's so many supports that are available. But James, I think we can do better. And I think that's just this is going to support to continue to elevate supports for that. And I think like we can't just accept the status quo. And that's why I ride, is that I think having supports available to our youth and really just the community as a whole. Because so we're doing the 330 challenge. So $330 on average is what it takes for one person in Canada to receive mental health supports every month. So and I think especially now more than ever, it's so important. So yeah, that's a little bit about why I ride.
Yeah, that's really incredible. And I really resonated with some of the things you were saying about growing up, how important it would have been for you.
Yeah. And just to know kind of what's available now, I'm amazed, right? Like some of our Speak Up programming that youth mental health is involved with, the Thrival kits, all that stuff, which is fantastic. And I just am so amazed that we're going to continue to grow that. And I think it's so important for our youth to have those kind of supports. So, because what does that do for our community? What does that do for our country, right? Like I think it's just going to be amazing. So yeah, it's such an important reason why I ride, right? I'm riding for the youth. I'm riding for my community. So
yeah, it's really amazing what you're undertaking. I was taking the time to really think about what it takes to say, hey, I'm going to ride 330 kilometers. And
what it takes is actually sometimes not really knowing what I'm signing up for. I think I didn't really maybe realize that, but yeah, I learned more.
Yeah. I think that's how a lot of things start, right? We get ambitious,
Yeah.
we see a goal in mind,
Yeah.
and we're going to be so excited to have you along to just learn more about your journey. Because I think with Ride Don't Hide, one of the things that we're really putting an emphasis on is riding your way. So your way is riding 330 kilometers.
Not everyone has to do that.
Not everyone has to do that, indeed. So we encourage you to either on June 26th, 27th, to ride in your community, even if it's in the month of June, to take the time to set a goal for, okay, I'm going to ride 2 kilometers each day, and I'm going to log it in a journal. What are some other ways that you can think of?
Yeah, that's a great point, that it's really emphasizing that it's a ride your way fundraiser. So however you're taking care of yourself right now, and maybe if you need some support, saying, I'm not really sure what are some things that I could do and that could be improved. ridedon'thide.com/Manitoba. You can find resources there to support with that. But really it's ride your way. So whether that's just, committing to every evening a walk around the block, or, within your community or your favorite park, right? Maybe it's a yoga class, whatever you're doing, just commit to some sort of a plan that improves your wellness and makes you feel better, and broadcast it and say, this is what I'm doing, and get people to kind of get on board with that, and then bring awareness and raise money, and $1 per kilometer, 330 kilometers, right? If each person can raise $330, that's immense resources for mental health.
Yeah. And seeing the impact that it has on youth, just to have these programs available. Going back to speaking about how we didn't really have these growing up, and you and me are a similar age and grew up in similar circumstances where it wasn't really talked about. There was still so much of that stigma. And we're at a place now where there is a few more conversations happening around. You hear people talking about mental health in the community in general. There's many more initiatives that are public now. And so this is about implementing all these programs and implementing all these ideas. And so with the Speak Up program, Thrival Kits program, these are programs that reach thousands of students. And I think back and I think, what if I had some of those coping skills growing up? And I am someone with lived experience. You'll get to know over the podcast as me and Brandon get to know each other more and speak together more. I'm someone who has lived experience and who would have benefited so much from knowing exactly how to deal with some issues. Of course, you have to learn your own way, but just to be able to have that is so, so important. And to not discount, like, riding for 330 kilometers, we have an overall organizational goal of $100,000 raised, a goal of $1 per kilometer for each participant. This is some really, really big stuff. This is what keeps our programs moving. It's what helps students gain self-confidence, gain more awareness about themselves, and learn how to function in a world that previously was a lot less welcoming of mental health talk.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're really seeing now with our youth. I mean, I know I have some little cousins that the things they're posting on Instagram, those kind of conversations, I don't know if they would have maybe it's just where I lived, but I don't know if they would have been having those conversations. So I think it's exciting to see some of the ways that are moving forward with some of these conversations on our mental health and our physical health. It's how it's also equal. So yeah, I think it's just going to be a really exciting time to bring mental health into the open with this big ride. And like you say, right, like we can ride our own way. So it's going to be exciting, and I'm excited to do this with everyone here and to hopefully support some people to maybe get motivated to get their ride going, whatever that may be.
Mm-hmm. And when we see these figures, these people who are making these incredible journeys, I know there are so many journeys that have been inspired by, I mean, we always look back to Terry Fox and how incredible that was. We see many people raising money for different programs, services, charities over the years, sort of following in the footsteps of that legendary run across Canada. And I think one of the big things is that we have these incredible people to look up to, such as yourself riding 330 kilometers. And brave people like yourself are the people who can help other people come out of their shell and ride their way, and to share it with others, to explain what they're doing. And so we encourage you to connect with family members, friends. It's so hard in these pandemic times as things are slowly opening up with everything moving with vaccines and everything. However, there's been so much time lost and connections lost over the last year. So in this podcast, we'll really focus too on how important it is to make those connections for your well-being. So Brendan, tell me a bit more about the ride that you'll be undertaking.
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's, like we've said, it's 330 kilometers, and we're going to be starting in Selkirk, Manitoba. So, and then heading up to Hecla in the provincial park there. So, each way is about 160 kilometers, which I've never done that before. So this is definitely going to be a bit of a challenge for me. I think I'm going to break it up into 3 different sections that day. Because, some of these big things that I'm learning or these things that I'm learning about some of these big challenges is that, sometimes you're only as strong as your mind is. So I'm trying to train my mind to be ready for this too, not just my body. So, I'm going to try to break it up into about, 50-ish kilometer sections. So I'm kind of gearing towards that within my training plan and just sort of getting mentally ready for that. And so, first day, Selkirk, and then we'll head up to Hecla. So I'm really hoping that I've got the wind at my back, because that'll be really helpful. Or I'm actually just really hoping that I have the wind at my back on the second day when I have to ride home, because I'll get there in one day. Like, I'm pretty sure I can get there. And then I'm just thinking to myself, I also have to get home. So I think this will be quite the weekend. So, but I'm really excited for it. So,
It sounds like something, when we're so excited for something, it can also maybe be a bit stressful. So How are you handling all this emotionally? It's a big undertaking.
Yeah, it is. So that has been some things that have, I'm a little anxious about it, to be honest, just because I know it's going to be a challenge, and I think I want to also be able to enjoy the ride too. So yeah, I'm definitely worried about it. So. But it's kind of like, what does my wellness plan look like right now, and what does my training plan look like too, right? That's right now is kind of most important. But I'm really just kind of relying on some friends and family support, and also some coworkers too as well. So, but yeah, I am really stressed. I am a little stressed about it, and so it's But I think just kind of trying to keep my mind focused on my plan, and really just kind of, like I said, right, I'm breaking the ride up in step by step, and I think that's sort of how I'm breaking as a whole, right? I'm just kind of day by day, and things like that. I'm not letting my mind wander too far a little bit. So luckily though, as I'm training, I'm also riding, which is good, because when you ride your bike and you do exercise, you feel better. So I may start off really stressed, but as soon as I'm done a bit of a ride and some exercise in a day, and I'm prepping, I definitely feel better. So, which is normally true in most situations, regardless of whether you're planning something like this. So,
yeah, and that's so true that when it's something that's so important to us, that can be the time when we do get stressed out or a little anxious about it.
For sure.
And I think it's so important hearing your vulnerability just there, because I know I really connected right there hearing what that must feel like, because it really brings it in perspective. We're not all these superhuman people who are able to go through this and not feel anything. This is a big, important undertaking. It's huge.
Yeah, and it's not that I'm a professional cyclist, or now I laugh and say maybe I am, right? Does this mean I'm sponsored? I don't know. So I'm not a professional by any means, and I think if my encouragement to other people is that if you have a goal, just start, break it down into tangible, realistic aspects for you, because I started riding a lot more last summer. That's kind of when I got into it. So anybody that thinks maybe I've been doing this for years, or I grew up in high school, doing some sort of an athlete, right? Like I wasn't, right? So so I consider myself to be pretty new at this. So so I think it's going to be a challenge for me for sure. So yeah.
Well, we're so excited to hear all the progress that you make, and so excited to see this actually come together on those days, June 26th and 27th.
Yeah.
We're so excited to ride with you, and I really encourage you to hear the story, hear the podcast over the next few weeks, learn more about what it's like to hear Brandon's training, how it's going, learn from the community resources, that the people that we will have on as guests for this podcast. I'm just so excited to have you on as co-host for the next few weeks.
Thanks,
Brandon.
James. I'm excited. Yeah, we're gonna have some pretty sweet guests. I think we're hoping to get some personal trainers, some people in that department that can help me a little bit too, and then really, as a result, really it's helping everyone, right? So
yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Brandon, for all the work that you're doing. We will continue to follow you on your weekly blog, and as you connect with us in this podcast to relay all the great work that you're doing in preparation for this epic ride that you're doing from Selkirk, Manitoba to Hecla and back. My name is Stephen Sutherland. I'm a program director here at the Canadian Mental Health Association Manitoba Winnipeg office, and thrilled to share with you why we do Ride Don't Hide. So we know typically at this time of year we are preparing for a physical ride, but the last 15 months have been nothing but extraordinary. And so again, this year we're thrilled to bring back our virtual Ride Don't Hide and Spirit Week. But for the first time, we have Brandon doing this amazing ride. And so why 330? Well, that's the magic number this year. It costs approximately $330 annually for a person to access local community mental health services. So we want to ensure that friends, our family, colleagues, neighbors will continue to have access to these necessary community mental health programs and services. What we're asking people to do is to go to ridedon'thide.com/Manitoba and join Brandon's Ride. We're asking people to donate a minimum of $330 in terms of a goal to raise. And that's not something that you have to do on your own. This is the opportunity to share why this is important to you with those in your circle of influence. We often say Ride Don't Hide is about moving more, giving back, and feeling better. We move more, we exercise, we know that it improves our mental health. We've learned that today. We know that giving back brings people together. It brings communities together. Though we're physically distancing ourselves, we are socially connected with a common purpose. And lastly, and one of the most important pieces of Ride Don't Hide, is it allows us to feel better. As you participate, you'll get tips and tools and tricks, and you'll get to engage in activities throughout Spirit Week that you may want to consider to be a part of your self-care routines as we all adapt to our current situations. One piece that's new this year, and we're super excited, is our Ride Don't Hide app. And so when you go to ridedon'thide.com/Manitoba and you're a part of Brandon's team, it's going to allow you to download that app on your smart device. And then you'll have greater access to all those different platforms. So from June 21st to 27th, thousands of riders across Winnipeg, people of all backgrounds, are going to ride for mental health. It's a movement, and we are so excited to partner with extraordinary sponsors like our nutritional sponsor for Brandon's Ride, Co-op. We're super grateful for the work that they're doing in Manitoba and their generosity. Our friends at Talbot, Jeff Lieberman, for sponsoring Spirit Week. We're really excited about that. On June 26th, we get to celebrate as families with the support of our sponsors, Manitoba Hydro. Our corporate champions this year is Manitoba Government Employees Union. And we know that their 32,000 members are super excited to choose whatever way they're going to ride as a workforce. We want to encourage everyone who's listening to go to the Ride Don't Hide donor drive landing page and learn about how you can be involved. One of the best ways to be involved is when you see Ride Don't Hide information in Brandon's Ride on social media, share that, like that, follow us. We're really, really quite excited about reaching that goal here in Winnipeg of $100,000. With Brandon's Ride, we are hoping to raise that goal of $33,300. And we know that with the generous support of Winnipeggers, we'll be able to do that.
And that concludes this episode of Wellbeing Connection podcast. Thank you everyone for joining us today, for listening, for showing your support. Be sure to share about Ride Don't Hide wherever you can, wherever you're comfortable sharing. Be sure to join Brandon's team and raise $330 and support youth mental health programs that really matter, that really make a change. And be sure to leave a review, like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do. Thank you.